Tony, I gotta ask you, man. Did you ever have a battle with TC Ellis?
No, I just smoke TC. TC, you know that too. No, man. So TC and I, we all, I mean, like I said, we all grew up together. So I lived in St. Paul for a good amount of time with my uncle and family. Right. So I've known him. We were all shorties coming up. So I've known TC forever. And no battles.
Yeah, he's a good cat, actually.
That's my man. Yeah. Number love.
Awesome. That's cool, man. Yeah. Another thing that's really cool is that both of you got the opportunity to front an NPG album.
Yeah.
Both like ridiculous albums that I don't feel like they get enough love.
No, they don't.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about those two albums. Mm-hmm. With your album, Tony, one thing that happened is that the track "Guess Who's Knocking" got taken off.
Yes.
Because the hook came from a Wings song, Paul McCartney and Wings. Well, is that what happened?
It wasn't even a hook. It was a phrase that I used in the song. You know. Guess who's knocking at the door? Guess who's ringing the bell? So it was a Paul McCartney Wings, right? And we cut it. And I guess when it went out, Paul McCartney didn't clear it, right?
Right.
So we had printed a bunch of CDs. So if you got that CD with Guess Who's Knocking on that joint's worth some money, y'all. Right? It is worth some money. Listen, I got a copy, and I went out on, people said, like, you need to go see what they're selling those CDs for. And I went out and I looked at some of the prices. Yeah. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Right? So we get a reprint. And on the reprint does not have Guess Who's Knocking on it. So,
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So what do you remember about the recording of that record in particular? Because you got some great tracks in there, Decent Quarter. And
yeah. So this is true, and I'm going to be real. What I took out of it, what I saw happening, and what I tried to put a kibosh on, Prince and I, we had extensive conversations about it, is that I felt like I was doing, and I didn't want it to be, it started feeling like a solo project. And this was an NPG project.
Right.
And there was no discussion about concept, what we wanted to portray, what we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And so, songs were, we were just jam session. And, all of a sudden, I'm in the studio, I'm in Abbey Road with Prince, and we're kicking, and he said, can you drop some L's on this? And, yep, I'm cutting. And it felt like a Morris Day in the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Type of scenario where Prince and Morris basically cut everything.
Yeah.
Wow. And brought in Terry, and I said, these ain't hired musicians.
This is the band.
This is the band.
Yeah.
Right. So we would, and he was trying to get me mentally to this next level. But, at the same time, it's my family. I'm always going to,
Exactly.
never moved to California. I would never move to New York City. I was going to always be in Minneapolis and just be Tony.
Yeah.
I'm Tony from North Side. That's what it is, right? So, when it finally came out, I remember walking in and putting the CD on the table and said, there's y'all's album.
Wow.
Okay. So at the time when you're cutting it, I didn't realize it was still a dig. He's doing his thing with Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
So a lot of the underlying tones in that Goldnigga album was digs at Warner Brothers. It was just battle with that. So I kind of felt like, don't use us for that.
Yeah.
Into like something that's not.
Yeah. Then he comes with the slave thing and all that comes after. But I think that was the groundwork for what that was going to be. Right. So, we had our conversations, and I could always be real with him. Right. He knew he would always be real with them. I mean, I'd have to tell you that there was only a couple people where he really didn't test.
Right.
He didn't test this man right here. He didn't test me. And we'd have real conversations. We would agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Loved him to death. And in that instance, again, the knowledge he gave me, the power that he gave me and at that particular time was unprecedented.
That kind of leads into, Sonny, what I wanted to kind of ask was that obviously Prince was known to be hard on band members some of the time, like different band members, but your relationship was different because you grew up with him and taught him things and he looked up to you. Like how did that kind of play out, like in rehearsals when you needed to like be the band leader and come down on different people, but maybe they would see that he would talk to you differently? Did it kind of create a weird kind of dynamic sometimes? Or?
sometimes it was kind of weird, because sometimes I didn't like what he was saying to people.
Right.
And sometimes I would snap out. But, no, actually, it wasn't so much there wasn't a lot of that with the NPG.
Right.
Because the guys were really good at what they did.
Right.
Levi on guitar, man. That was
beast mode.
Tommy, there was Rosie Gaines was there at one point, Morris. I mean, it was just Michael Bland. It was just, all we had to do was just go.
Kick in.
That was it. He's like, oh, right there. Oh.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, we had our things, It was mostly technical stuff.
Right.
That he was having his best.
Oh, right. Okay.
So,
We go through sound guys and guitar techs like left and right. I feel bad for them. I did.
are they loading up, man?
Really? Yeah, they loading up.
The whole thing with Get Off, you have like 5 different versions of the song.
yeah.
Right.
So you have like Gangsta Glam,
Yeah.
Finally You're Right.
That's one of my favorites.
Yes.
I keep telling Mo we got to put it in the set, man. People are asking for that.
I opened a
They
DJ
got-
set
yeah.
by it.
Yeah, that's just a dope song.
But like, the funny thing to me is that he decided that he wanted to do a music video for every version of
I
the
know.
song.
Every version.
Every
Like,
version.
and like, what were you thinking at the time? It's
What
like,
was
this
my
is basically the same song. It's all
Oh my
versions of the same
God.
song. You want to do 5
It
videos?
was bizarre. Let me tell you, one of them was, it was like Caligula, man.
It was like Caligula.
We were in the Glam Slam, the upstairs VIP area, right? And I walk in, and there's naked women on leashes, and I said, "Yo, I'm not down with this.
Right.
You're not gonna catch me on film in this.
Right.
I could not see this." So I bounced. I wasn't in any of that footage.
Yeah. Got a lot of stuff I just went.
Yeah, you can't do it, bro. like the video. It's Gangsta Glam.
Oh,
Right.
God, yeah.
When we're at his house, and he comes out in the mankini.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he said, "We got one for you." I said, "No, you don't." Hell no, you don't.
Mankini.
The mankini, the suspenders, the suspenders on. I said, "Dog, you crazy, man." I get in the water and he starts dropping down doing push-ups. Come on, bro.
Oh,
Oh, man. Between that and the assless pants at the MTV award.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. Yeah.
Maybe.
You guys need to go back and look at that footage from the MTV Awards and look at the look on Damon's face. No, I'm serious. You go back and look. That man's trying to look at every other direction when he's coming up after that. He's like, "Oh Lord, have mercy."
like, no.
Tony, I gotta ask, man. There's a rumor that circulated for a very long time in the fan community, and that's that Prince had a little bit of a disagreement with you over the fact that you were pretty close with Carmen. Is that true?
Man, no.
No, that wasn't.
Clears it up. The
No.
rumor is not true.
Listen, stuff. I remember I didn't hear that until people started interviewing me. Said they asked the question. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's like a circulating rumor.
No, I mean,
No,
so
that's not true.
So here's a true story.
Yeah.
So when we were cutting Carmen's album, and we were doing, I can't remember, was it Skin Tight? We were doing one of the songs, and Carmen was a little. She wasn't getting where we needed her to be.
Right.
Levi needed her to be. So I just said, stop. Let's stop for a second. I said, okay, everybody out of the studio. Can we get some? Because Prince liked candles, and I said, let's get the candles going. And it wasn't Carmen cutting by herself. I went in the studio and we actually looked at each other and cut together, right? And it just added a different ambiance. Nowadays it's so sterile the way people cut, right? I'll cut my vocals, I'll send it to somebody else.
Yeah.
They'll do their thing on it. It ain't like us in the studio actually going at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like when you watch duets, Tammy Terrell, Mama Gay, and all of them. I mean, Roberta
Yeah.
Flack, Donny Hathaway, they cut together.
Symbiosis,
Yeah.
you know?
Right, and you get that feed off of each other. So we cut it like that, and then I remember he heard the demo, and he said, "Oh, call Carmen up and said, so that sounds good, but how'd y'all record that?" It's we in the studio together, and Dwayne, his brother, Dwayne, yeah, man, Tony, they were in the studio, man. It was fire, and yeah, so that was
That's how they
Don't take it out of time.
Look, yeah, don't take out the context, but no.
but it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't like that with me at all. Man. At all.
there you go.
We were just trying to get her in the boat. We were trying to get her to where we needed her to be on that song.
That makes sense.
So it helped with me in the studio with it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Play
That's
on.
it. So no
Play
more
on.
of that.
Yeah, y'all can see.
That rumor is
that.
put
Yeah,
in.
you
Put
fix
in.
that.
Y'all can squash it.
Sonny, when Prince and you were doing Exodus, and he comes up with this Tora concept, he's wearing this mask, and he does the interviews like wearing the mask, and he's like, did he really think that people were gonna like not know it was him?
No, I don't think he ever knew that. I just think
Strictly satirical,
he
right?
just wanted to have satirical. He would just want to have alter ego.
Yeah.
Was it awkward though doing those interviews when he's like whispering to like,
And, like,
guys?
not
He's like,
talking.
why are you not doing?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. It was, but it was fun though. So I was like,
All the
he was just having a lot of fun during the Exodus period.
all the interviews are like,
We were playing double bass. That was dope.
Yeah.
2 bass guitars.
amazing.
I would love to see an expanded Exodus because there's loads of tracks that you
yeah.
cut that didn't make it. So
Yeah.
like your version of Acknowledge Me, Funky Design, Mad.
Right.
Even you did a version, like a really heavy version of Love Like Will Be Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like dope. I like that stuff was so good.
Yeah.
So,
We did a lot. We did a lot of tracks.
that's
Hopefully that will see a lot of dancing.
yep. Thank you. Sonny, you did a session with Prince around 2004 with yourself and Michael Bland. I think you cut about 11 or 12 songs in like one session. And the really interesting thing about that session is that you get like basically the title tracks and themes for like 3 more records out of that. So 3121 title track
Right.
from the Lotus for Lotus Flower and the end track in Lotus Flower as well.
Right.
And Planet Earth. That's the same session, right?
Right,
So
right.
did you feel like when you were doing that session that this is stuff that's going to be coming out like for a long time after this, or it was just like, I don't know what's...
It was just, we were just cutting. I mean, it's just like, it's like you're just in the mill and you're just like, oh, let's do it. It's cool. I really had no idea of anything he was going to do. I didn't know it was going to be all one album or if he was just going to do, separate things.
Did you ever get a kind of feel for that? Or sometimes, because like stuff like, obviously one iconic thing is The Undertaker, and that feels like it has a very clear concept of,
Right.
of what we're doing with this, and it's kind of like really heavy blues thing, and then you would do like the New Power Trio stuff with just you, Prince, and Michael.
Yeah.
But I guess was it always unclear with the concepts of what stuff was going to be used for what, or was sometimes it was more obvious what was happening?
Most of the time it was unclear because he just wanted to play more than anything. So we would write stuff and put things together and just do it. And then it just so happened that it sounded so good, it ended up being a record. That's how it actually happened.
Sound like the same thing but from the Goldnigga. And
You know?
You're just cutting tracks. That's all you're doing.
I mean, it really turned out well. And the next thing you know, we're at Paisley Clark doing, like trio stuff. Because he was starting to dig in. He wanted to play some guitar at that time. So I thought that was great. It's like, you need to play more guitar. That's what I told him. I said, man, you're a great guitar player. You should play more guitar sometime.
When was the last time that each of you saw him?
I seen him 2 weeks before he died at Bunkers where I played. He came down there and JB and them was up on the stage singing some with the combo, and he came in. I think he came in with Kurt.
Okay.
And so I gave him a hug.
Yeah.
I said, hey man, how you doing, man? He said, I'm all right, Sonny. I said, and I always ask him every time, man, do you want to come up and play? And he says, no, man. So I just said, man, I'm gonna love you to the end of time, man. So I said, I gotta go back up here, man. So went back up, and that was the last time. So he stayed around for a few more minutes, and then he left because he hadn't seen In Living Color earlier.
Right.
So at the Dakota.
Yeah.
And so he came down after that. I set up a table for him and all that. So he came down. That was my last time seeing it. I didn't even believe it when I heard it. I was like, somebody's lying. This didn't happen.
And for you, Tony?
Mine was out at Paisley Park. I finally talked me into coming out to one of the after parties. Right. When I left, I pretty much cut all ties. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I've said this before. Is that the transition is hard enough. And you have to focus on what your next phase is going to be for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So for me, dipping my toe back in and coming to a party and it starts sucking you back in because music calls you. You don't call it, right?
Exactly.
It's your calling, right? And I'm not finding this out as I play with the group more. It's just like, this is what I'm meant to do. So, chatted with him quite a bit, just asking how things were going, asking how he was doing. Asked me if I'm still writing, things like that. And that was the last time I actually saw him. And then I remember getting my phone call at work, from a friend of mine in New York City. We had heard it hadn't even hit yet. Man, Bobby Simmons called me from New York, drummer for Steps of Summer.
Right, yeah, Vernon Reed called me. He said, man, is it true, man? Is it true?
I was like, shut up, stop right now. So I had to do some research myself. So
it's just crazy. It's just such a loss to the whole music industry, to just music, period.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap it up.
Make me cry, man. That's what you hear.
So something a bit more fun to end on a brighter note. You guys are working on some new music with the NPG now. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, we are. We are working on
another record.
It's one of the things that we battle with a little bit is that we hear a lot of people say, oh, you guys are doing other Prince stuff. You're doing this, that, or the other. But people don't really understand is that we wrote with him. We created these songs.
Exactly.
So it's not like we're just playing off of him.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we're doing, we actually co-wrote. So we kind of feel like it's ours also. So yes, we're coming with new stuff, y'all. NPG.
That's right.
In effect, y'all be ready. It's gonna be funky. I can't even.
It's gonna be funky.
I'm excited.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been another episode of Uncovering Prince. Tony M, Sonny T, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank y'all.
Sorry that the camera died, guys.
We love these people. We love these people right here.
Love y'all. Thank you.
They have to leave for the airport now.
Rock and roll, rock and roll.
Hi, I'm Elisa Fiorillo, and you're watching The Violet Reality on YouTube. All things Prince.